It's an organization that was created back in 1996, and now it has launched a social awareness campaign. I am talking about the Suicide Prevention Task Force of Schuylkill County. Grace Coffin is the chairman of this wonderful organization that is doing its best to help people. Grace, thanks so much for joining me. Tell us about the task force. The fact that there is one and you're launching this campaign means there is a great need for suicide prevention in Schuylkill County.
Unfortunately, Schuylkill County does have the fourth highest suicide rate in all of Pennsylvania. Again, this organization did start back in 1996, and they've gone through some, growing and changing. And I actually took over as chair back in April of this past year. And what we realized is that a lot of people within the community didn't realize that the task force even existed. So we wanted to get that information out there, that we were there to help. We're trying to, as you said, do that through social awareness campaigning. We have digital billboards, we have coasters and posters throughout the county. We just wrapped 2 STS vans with messaging as well, and lots of other projects on the horizon. So right now we're using this campaign to get not only the task force information out there for people to reach out if they're looking for help, but also to get the national lifeline out there, which is important for anybody and everybody, whether they be in Schuylkill County or anywhere in the United States.
I know this can hit any family at any time, but is there a certain age group or demographic that you are targeting the most?
Yes. So when I took over in April, the highest demographic for Schuylkill County was the middle-aged, white, blue-collar working male. Followed by veterans, first responders, LGBT community members, things like that. So suicide does not discriminate. It's hard to focus on one demographic, but at the time, that was where we went with our campaign. And unfortunately, of late, over the last 6 or 8 weeks or so, it has hit our youth here in the county severely.
Well, now we've dealt with COVID and we have the holidays coming up. Does that add even more to your concern for people?
Definitely, it does. And, just the stigma of anybody feeling depressed or feeling like, they can't ask for help. So we did try to focus on adults. Now we're still finishing that campaign with adults. It is still the highest demographic. But just as of late, as you mentioned, COVID, things like that have definitely impacted the youth, our youth, everybody's youth, unfortunately. And the stigma of asking for help or having mental health or depression issues is just something that we're still constantly working at. Trying to get people to understand that it's okay not to be okay as long as you do ask for help. I like to follow it up with that sentence as well. So that's our goal right now.
If someone who is watching this, Grace, either knows someone that maybe has, seemed depressed, or they themselves might need help, what is the best advice? What should they do? Where do they turn to get help?
It's different for everybody. If people are sad or depressed, sometimes, it's a family member, a friend, a coworker, a neighbor, things like that. It's on us almost to ask and reach out to people. If we see something, it's okay to ask them if they're okay. I think that's another thing. People are afraid to do that. They don't necessarily want to hear the answer, but they really could be saving a life. So I tell people on my task force, anybody that I speak to during presentations, reach out. Just touch base with people, whether it be a family member, a friend, a coworker, could be anybody. If they do want help and, they don't seem to have anybody to turn to, we do have local crisis numbers that they can call. The National Lifeline is what we've been trying to get that number out there for them. Therapists, churches, just pretty much anybody that will listen at this point.
And then you are also looking for volunteers for the task force to help get the word out, right?
We actually made an effort to try to get people from all different walks of life, so that we could understand better as a community, that it's everybody that's struggling with this. A lot of the task force members have endured, the death of a loved one by suicide. So it's very important to them. Again, whether it be a first responder, a veteran, a mother, a father, a sibling, a community member, just anybody. It affects every single person. It just doesn't discriminate. So if anybody's interested in being part of our task force, we have a monthly meeting It is still done by Zoom right now because of COVID.
Well, keep up the good work. It's a very important cause, and we hope that we've provided some information to people so that they know where to turn. Again, it is preventable. All they have to do is ask for help.
Today's news feature is brought to you by the Residence Inn by Marriott and Humboldt Station. Are you traveling with a four-legged friend? Call the Residence Inn at 570-455-9555.